That's right, you geeks. Welcome into the Echo Screen, the official podcast of the Clan of the Grey Wolf. As always, I am your host, the Commodore.
In stereo.
In stereo this time. It is only 9:05, so we're only 5 minutes late, which means we beat the 9:06.
Guess from the chat.
1 minute. Take that. And with me, as always, is Rue from the other side of some fiber to the home connections.
That's what? Yes, that's exactly right.
That's right. See,
we got a fiber to fiber connection here, folks.
Ish. There's still some copper involved for me.
Nope, no copper. Straight direct line of fiber.
Straight fiber.
New Hampshire.
We're shooting light
down the East Coast.
Right, exactly. Right, as if we were going all the way under the Atlantic Ocean.
The future is now.
The future is now, which is a little bit what we're going to talk about today, actually, with the topic du jour.
I should have called this "The Future Is Now."
Yeah, the future is now, to some extent. But that could mean anything.
I know.
You could be talking about, like, robotic arms. The show could be about robotic arms, and you could call it "The Future Is Now."
So, okay, we're changing the topic to that. Robotic Arms Cast.
Yeah, the Robotic Arms Cast. Better than last time with the Financial Cast, but we still need to do that at some point.
We do. You ever have one of the, when you were a kid, one of those robotic arms? No, it was a grabber.
You
just pulled it and it looked like little robotic arms. And
yes.
Did you ever like pull your arm into your shirt and you had just the grabber sticking out, and you would grab stuff with it and try to like pick up glasses and spill water and crap everywhere?
I was above such sophomoric pranks.
Just me. Never mind.
Side note: I saw a funny bumper sticker. This week.
I don't believe you.
It had a red Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it had one of those little grabbers you were just talking about right here in its hand.
I think okay.
Yep, and it said "I'm unstoppable," and I thought that was a great bumper sticker.
I think I've seen that on a T-shirt somewhere.
Yeah, it was great. It was good. Anyway, the future is now. We are going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about actually Netflix. We teased this last time.
Which I forgot completely about. So
right, which is fine, but this is why I'm here to remind you of these things.
Welcome to everyone in the chat, by the way.
Yes, welcome to everyone in the chat, and welcome to all the people joining us in the chat. A couple folks are a little late, like we are, which is just fine. Great to have you. Come on in. We are going to talk about Netflix, specifically because Netflix is having a really good year so far.
That's one way to put
it. They had a really good year last year. And they've really kind of shaken up the way that we consume content through traditional TV modalities. We're going to talk about that today. Talk about what that means. Talk about the future of what that is, whether it's now or tomorrow. And it should be a lot of fun. So come on down.
Dun, 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 dun.
Whenever I hear somebody say "come on down," do you I automatically go to Aladdin? When the Robin Williams character that was supposed to be the genie.
You are a miscreant.
Was that your vocab word for the day?
That will be the word of the day.
Oh my god!
Anytime someone says miscreant, I want everyone in the chat to scream.
It was random. It was almost correctly used, so I figured it had to be your vocab word for the day. No, so the guy for this, the guy that kicks off Aladdin, he was initially in the initial cut of the movie, he was supposed to be the genie in secret. That's why Robin Williams played him, but they didn't tie that together at the end.
Yeah, it still works though.
Yeah. Anyway, so he goes. So come on down. No.
If you don't go straight to the Price is Right in your head whenever someone says "come on down," then you are a miscreant.
That's like come on down. I was like, come on down.
No, anyway. Still didn't work.
Okay. Folks, the topic du jour, which I just talked about, is the second portion of the program. The first one happens to be the news and notes, the tids and bits. Let's do that right now, shall we?
Okay.
Rue, what do you have to share with the peoples that you think they should know about?
Well, today? I guess I'll follow up from our topic last week, last time, which was the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
The Nintendo Switch.
See, come on down.
Nintendo Switch.
Fun pie.
I'm trying to do Christopher Walken. It's not working.
Hey, yeah, that was I did.
Nintendo Switch. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
I got a fever. The only prescription is a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that was much better than mine. Anyway,
go ahead.
Besides the fact that the Patriots are about to win their fifth Super Bowl for Tom Brady and Mr. Belichick.
How many Super Bowls have they been to? This will be
the seventh.
They've lost 2 of them. Who did they lose those Super Bowls to?
Irrelevant.
Yeah,
Irrelevant.
I'm trying to remember who they lost to.
Road
It
bumps.
slipped my mind at the moment, but I think they lost to somebody.
In
It might have been the
history.
same team. Anyway,
No.
keep going.
Anyway.
Yep.
This
is now welcome to the Super Bowl, Cats. Oh, we just got sued.
I can't throw as good as my brother Peyton. Guess I'm just not that good, folks.
That's
but
two-time
right.
MVP, Eli Manning.
Oh, shucks.
So, yeah.
All right.
Future Hall of Famer.
Let's throw this ball down the field. We'll see if someone catches it.
Did you see the meme that was floating around like 2 weeks ago? This is the body of an elite NFL athlete, and it's like Eli on a beach with he's got like a pail with a. It's like so awesome.
What a loser.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
What were we saying? Oh yeah, the Nintendo Switch. So, a couple of little things to update from that. Nintendo, well, through a interview with Nikkei, I should say, the Nintendo president has basically explained that the yearly cost for Nintendo's online service, this is the first time they're charging for it, will be in the range of $20 per year. Per year. So that's a lot. That's kind of calming a little bit of the antagonism that people were feeling. Antagonistic feelings people had at first when they learned, wait, Nintendo, who has the crappiest online service ever,
Yes.
will be charging me for this now? That's crap. But $20 a year, which compared to I don't even know off the top of my head how much Xbox and PlayStation services are, but I think it's on the order. It's more on the order of like $20 a month.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet.
But regardless, it's if Nintendo's able to like beef up some servers and actually get some solid matchmaking and having its games run online solidly, then maybe people will be able to pay that and gladly and take that.
Less than $2 a month is not bad.
Right. So, not too bad. That's okay. Yeah.
They still got more work to do kind of on the you hit it on the head with the matchmaking and the kind of experience of playing multiplayer games and making it easy.
Right.
They get that right. That's a much bigger hurdle for them than probably anything else.
Yeah, there's a lot that remains to be seen with the Switch, so we'll see. But this is at least a promising sign based off of a lot of vitriol we had for it last week or last time. Yeah. The other thing is actually Super Bowl related, and Nintendo will be having its first ever Super Bowl commercial. This year.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's basically just a guy using the Switch, but it's really almost more an advertisement for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Gotcha.
Because that's the only game that he's playing for the 30-second spot. He's like playing it out mobile, and then of course he puts it in his Switch and he plays on the TV. Yeah, it looks great. It's not, as far as Super Bowl commercials go, I don't know how much is going to really be sticking in people's minds. It's no Puppy Monkey Baby or anything like that.
Puppy Monkey Baby, Puppy Monkey Baby, Puppy Monkey Baby.
Or Nationwide, your kid just died.
Oh.
I remember that one. Was
savage.
Great. Oh, man.
Savage.
Anyway, but hey, it's interesting. We'll see if there has any. There's people actually thinking the Switch, some analysts and for Forbes and things like that actually think the Switch might actually do really well for Nintendo. It doesn't take much for it to be doing better than the Wii U, which is third. 3 for the price of 1 news tidbits here is that the Wii U's officially stopped production in Japan. So gearing up for the Switch.
All right. Well, we will see, as we spoke about last time with the Nintendo Switch. I remain skeptical, but we'll see. It's interesting that they're already on the defensive, though. That can't be a good thing. You'd want people to be really genuinely excited and not necessarily. I think everybody's kind of negative when it comes to the Switch, just because of the experience of the Wii U.
I'm a big fat liar. It's $60 a year for PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah, so I always
I haven't.
It was like $35 or $40, and then I would buy it.
Yeah, I haven't. That makes more sense now. Okay, I honestly haven't bought the online services in a long time. So
it's been years since I had Xbox Live.
I just sound like an idiot.
My news note is also a follow from last time. It's last time I said as the tipping off the show for news was about the Oculus lawsuit.
All right.
With ZeniMax and
ZeniMax?
ZeniMax.
They're making lots of naughty movies late at night.
I wonder if do people say Zen? Maybe the company say ZeniMax, but I mean, I've always said ZeniMax, even before, like when they were just a publisher.
I say ZeniMax because it's like Zenny Optical, but that's a different company, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
no, but anyway.
Anyway, so the verdict came in today. ZeniMax has been awarded $500 million because it ruled that Oculus, although they didn't misappropriate trade secrets, and as in they didn't steal copyrighted stuff, they also didn't steal code or any of these other kinds of things. What they did do is break an NDA, which of course you would sign for somebody like John Carmack to leave ZeniMax and join Oculus, which he did. So they basically, I mean, ZeniMax was going for $4 billion in damages, which is $2 billion more than Facebook bought all of Oculus for. But they instead, the jury decided on the $500 million because they didn't, like I said, they didn't steal the actual code. They just used ZeniMax facilities and use ZeniMax computers and systems and all these other kinds of things to basically break NDA and have communication with Oculus, which was a violation of the NDA agreement and therefore illegal. So interesting to see how that's turned out. Of course, there's going to be all kinds of legal wrangling and this is not the end of this whole thing by any stretch of the imagination, but just an interesting thought, right? So, here's a great example of how innovation sometimes goes too fast for business to keep up. John Carmack became obsessed with Palmer Luckey's idea of being able to put together 3D that was immersive, not 3D, but VR that was immersive and really awesome, and basically gave up on his job, on his day-to-day job, and started working on something completely different even before he started his other job. I am actually reading currently, because I've run out of other things to read, I'm reading the book.
Look at me, I read.
Well, no. It's a really short, easy one. It's a very famous book too. Sorry, it's the one about the creation of the Mac.
The Max from Saved by the Bell?
No. In the Valley.
In the Valley of Dolls?
Yeah. No, it's not in the Valley of Dolls.
Oh. Returns in the Valley of the Dolls?
I can't remember the
Revenge of the Valley of the Dolls?
It's written by Andy Hertzfeld, who was one of the guys on the original Mac team. Here we go. There we go. Boom. So it's called Revolution in the Valley, and it's the insanely great story of how the Mac was made. So what I'm interested in with this whole VR lawsuit is going back and reading some of the crazy anecdotes that came about when they were creating the Mac, because there was this, there was the Apple II. It was the Lisa project that Steve Jobs got kicked off of, even though it was his own company. And then basically they assigned him to this Macintosh project, which he didn't even really believe in initially, and then kind of became obsessed with. And things were moving so fast that he basically completely bailed on everything that they had been doing before. I just read a story about how he came up to an engineer he had selected to work on the Macintosh when it was like a 3-person team. The guy was working on something for the Apple II. He said, "You can't." He's like, I got to finish my work on this. He goes, No, you're working for me now. And he runs over and completely unplugs the coder's machine, rendering hours of work completely useless because he hadn't saved anything. Picks up the machine, puts it in the back of his car, and drives the guy over to the Mac studios. That is what reminds me of what happened with this ZeniMax thing. It's like innovation moves so fast that traditional business can't keep up.
Got to control S.
Yeah, you got to control S. So, actually, at that point, it would have been Open Apple S.
Before the Mac?
Apple II, Open Apple.
Oh.
Open Apple S.
That's crap. That's stupid.
No, it's great.
Am I the only one? Do you still do this thing where if you're working on a document or a PowerPoint presentation or something, do you save it constantly, even though it's still automatically being saved by most modern programs?
I should. I don't.
You're getting complacent.
Yeah, I am.
You're a terrible person.
I can't.
You're a miscreant.
I can't. I was just screaming loud. I don't know. Can I make a confession? I barely even know my own phone number. So like if I was stranded somewhere and I had to reach someone and my cell phone died, I don't think I could call my wife. Okay. So you know what I mean? Like calling me complacent because of not saving a document. I don't even know phone numbers anymore.
That's
if
true.
my phone dies, I am completely useless.
I don't think the one number I would remember most is my phone number in high school, or maybe your phone number. And
I can tell you all of those phone numbers. I know all of the phone numbers from when we were in high school.
I remember your number. I remember your number.
I know.
Okay.
I remember exactly what it was. But
I remember mine.
is,
Okay, that took me a second, but I still know them. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we had to know those. I couldn't tell you anything.
It's amazing how muscle memory works like that.
Yeah. No. When I'm 80, I probably won't remember your phone number. I probably won't remember what my phone number was.
Anyway,
we probably won't even know what a phone was by the time we're 80, because that'll be a long time from now.
Gather around. Let me tell you about phones. I was born in the 20th century. Jeez, you're old.
Yeah, that's exactly how it'll go.
All right,
let's move on. Let's get onto the topic du jour. This thing's meandering way too far out there. Let's talk
never
about
do
the
that.
topic. Folks, by the way, there are 3 portions of the program. I mentioned that before. If you have the third portion of the program is actually about question and answer. So if you have questions that have arisen during the Tids and Bits, or you have a question that arises during the topic du jour, or you have a question about anything random, already seen a couple come through, all you have to do if you'd like to ask us a question, which we will answer hopefully live on the air, if you're following along in the chat, just click my name, Commodore 128 in the upper right hand corner, send me a private message, or tweet at It's the Commodore. Maybe, just maybe, we will ask and answer your question live. All right? Let's move on to the old Netflix model. So,
you mean the new Netflix model?
How you want to kick this thing off? So let's
kick this pig.
When was the first time? I'm curious. When was the first time you subscribed to Netflix?
I was in grad school, and
okay.
I think I only did it because it was a free trial. I think I only did it for a little bit because I was like, oh man, I want to watch this. It was obviously only DVDs at the time, and there was some movie I wanted to watch. I'm like, oh, they got this movie. Okay, I'll try it. And it was like, well, super easy, but I didn't continue it. And then only got it again much, much later when it was doing the streaming service. And actually specifically because of stuff like, it must have been like 2013 or so, because when they started doing things like House of Cards, it was an interesting model before that. It had, old shows and movies, not the best, but a large selection of them. So you wouldn't ever be bored. But also at the time, I still had TV, cable subscription.
Right.
So since then, I've dropped the cable and I have the Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I still like to watch old stuff on it every once in a while. Like it's got some interesting old movies like The Sting or Quiz Show. I watched a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
Quiz Show's a good movie.
It's pretty good.
A movie I was wondering if Netflix, this is totally random, but you're going to laugh when I say this. What movie I was actually hoping was on Netflix the other day is The Road to Wellville.
Oh my.
Do you remember how crappy that movie was?
Yes. I was thinking about that today because someone was talking about the Kellogg Corporation.
There you go. There it is.
Because that's every time I think of Kellogg's or the Kellogg Corporation, I think of The Road to Wellville.
You think of Anthony Hopkins? The bells are the road to health.
What's that stupid thing?
Mr. Lightbody.
With Cole Meany at the end.
Yeah. He's massaging his colon.
I'm massaging my colon. That's not where your colon is, or whatever it was.
Sir, I know where your colon is.
That's such a weird movie. Anyway.
It was a really, but I was thinking about that because Anthony Hopkins was so good in Westworld that I was like, what's Anthony Hopkins' weirdest role? And then I thought about Rick Wellville. Anyway.
But I mostly am watching it for the TV shows. It has a lot of good TV shows now that it makes, and also ones that it catches up with after the fact, like The Flash I caught up with after it was already released on Netflix in an easily consumable format, not to mention Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which is awesome.
Yes.
But then obviously it has a lot of successful original shows like House of Cards, like Daredevil, all the Marvel stuff, Daredevil,
Netflix
Jessica Jones,
originals.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, even Fuller House.
Yeah.
Which I know we've all watched. Don't deny it. Shut up.
I did. I watched 2 episodes of it,
It's good enough.
maybe 3. Yep. Yeah. So I was part of Netflix. I think I have been. I was thinking about this the other day. I have now been a Netflix subscriber in one way, shape, or form, with short, like 3 to 6 month breaks, since probably it's been over 10 years. So they have gotten a lot of my money. I used to have the 3 DVD subscription. Then I sometimes had the 1 DVD subscription. Went back to obviously once they started streaming, I jumped on that bandwagon right off the bat. And at that point, you're absolutely right. It was kind of like I was disappointed with the selection at that point because there was a lot of really bad like B movies.
Well, yeah, and there still are a lot of bad movies.
There still are. I mean, because they're just cheap. They're cheap to license, so it's easy for them to buy them, right? One thing that Netflix has kind of turned into that they started with early on, and they've kind of evolved this, is how good they are with documentaries. A lot of great Netflix documentaries, not Netflix original. I mean, Netflix licenses documentaries. I've seen a lot of really good documentaries over the years because of Netflix.
That's true as well. Did you ever see Dear Zachary?
Yes, I did. Dear Zachary is phenomenal.
Everyone should watch that documentary. Don't look up anything about it. Don't look it up.
Do not look it up.
Go into it blind.
Yep. Just know you found the right thing when
good.
The DVD cover is like a tree. It looks like an album cover, and it's like a tree.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
It's beautiful. It's like beige. Anyway, so yeah, Dear Zachary. There's so many great documentaries on there, but I think you hit it right on the head. So there was a big shift only a few years ago because Netflix, number one, was basically kind of a Western world type thing and hadn't expanded internationally. Okay.
Oh yeah. Just a few years ago, and now I think it's available literally everywhere but China and maybe North Korea.
Yeah, it's basically everywhere. So you can get Netflix almost anywhere. Then the other shift was, like you said, they basically went from a way to consume content, a medium, right, to a content creator, and they went in with both feet. In almost a way that I think most people thought was pretty crazy.
It's pretty amazing. And they've only been doing it really for the past 4, maybe 5 years. They're still very young at it, but
absolutely,
they are winning awards left and right now. Well, and they're not the only ones. Well, they're not, right? And they're not. Yeah. I know
winning awards is one thing, but I mean, I think people always thought winning awards is great because it brings validation to the work that you're doing, which is phenomenal.
Well, it also brings new eyes usually.
But if you can't make money, then it's all for naught. And I think everybody said, Netflix famously started because of a late fee from a Blockbuster Video. So Blockbuster Video inadvertently created...
That's one of the greatest startup stories ever.
The model that killed them. All right. So, and then, but at every turn since Netflix's inception, every time they would shift gears, Wall Street and every investor and all these other kinds of things would say, how in the world are they ever going to make any money off of this? And lo and behold, what I think is amazing is it's not just they're winning awards, but that they are now officially, as of the close of this last fiscal year, making a lot of money.
Yeah, officially. And they're not the only ones. I mean, they've basically started a revolution. Hulu came up about the same time, and it's also this weird thing. It's this weird amalgamation of all these networks, thank you, like banding together to get fresh content on there, but like not all of their new content, and there's still commercials, and it's kind of expensive and blah blah blah. So like I know people that subscribe to Hulu and they watch stuff on Hulu, but they also get pissed because like they're trying to get into a new show. They're like, I can only see the last 5 episodes.
Right.
What the hell?
Hulu is run by the evil beasts of the last world.
Right, and it was a good try on their part, but I don't know. The Hulu model is not going to work in the end because there's too many other businesses that have now followed Netflix's lead. And now I'm thinking of Amazon Video, Amazon Prime Video, things like Sling TV, which has live TV that you can stream, and now the what's the DirecTV Now?
DirecTV Now. PlayStation View.
Yeah, it's the democratization of television content.
Yeah,
basically. This is kind of what people have been asking for a long time, which is like a la carte pricing.
Yes.
Of channels. basically, or content
Yes.
in general.
Yeah, but I think what's interesting here, let's put this in context. So the
Yeah.
most expensive show on TV from a traditional studio is Game of Thrones.
Sure.
It's an incredibly expensive show.
Uh-huh.
It's made by HBO. Okay. HBO was in many ways the original Netflix, just on traditional TV, right? Because they said
Right.
we're going to charge people basically almost like a membership fee just to have our channel.
To show
And
movies.
it's going to be available on cable to watch movies,
And then-
primarily movies.
Yeah. And then eventually,
Then eventually they got into TV, they got into documentaries, they got into everything in the world. They
there's-
got into sports and all kinds of stuff.
and you know what? Sorry to probably step on your point, but HBO, I don't think it is by accident that not only did they trailblaze that sort of paying for one channel specific content model, premium channel back in the 80s, but now also they were one of the first channels to jump online and say, you know what? Don't have a cable subscription. You don't get us. That's fine. Pay us $15 straight to us and you can stream it, you know,
Right.
and that exploded for them, which is now why Showtime does the same thing, you know?
And you're absolutely right. And I think that's this model has exploded, but let's get back to why, which is what I'm interested in. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I go to how expensive Game of Thrones is, to put it in perspective, in the year 2016, Netflix was spending more than double the money on new content, so original content, as a channel. Let's call it a channel, call it a network, whatever you want to call it, than HBO was spending. HBO was making Westworld, they were making Game of Thrones, they were making some very, very expensive TV, and Netflix was spending double the money. And this was before the model had really been proven in many ways, right? So they were spending almost more money than they were making or even had in investment in this brand new content that they were going to create. That's how much they believed in it. And people thought they were absolutely crazy. But the fact of the matter is Netflix's catalog was shrinking. Why? Because the Hulus of the world and all the other clones have come about now. So all those people that had content and were looking for a way to share it through a media, which is what Netflix was, are now going, whoa, I can be the media too. I'm just going to make a FXX app and you guys can stream my stuff here. I'm not going to put my stuff up on Netflix. So the world kind of shifted around them, and their catalog was diminishing rapidly. This move to make this kind of original content, and by the way, I actually just read something about 500 planned Netflix original scripted series. 500. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Like think of a broadcast network. They don't even look at 500 scripts a year, right? Look at even a cable channel like HBO, right? I mean, there's no comparison to having 500 scripted shows in development at the same time. Just makes no sense. So everybody said Netflix is crazy. They're dead in the water. The interesting thing is they're making a ton of money. They had more subscribers in 2016 than they've ever had. They're going through even after they raised prices, by the way.
That's true.
They are going through the roof.
Well, because you know why? Because they don't have commercials. That's one of those things that I think people will acknowledge. Like, that's a damn good value to not show me commercials still.
Absolutely.
And
the other thing is, I
how
don't
long it's
need
gonna
all the
last.
expensive movies all the time.
Sure.
Like I don't.
But
the
even then,
Stars, for example,
well,
right? Which you have all the new movies. Like I don't
Yeah.
need all the new movies, but if you throw me one or two every once in a while, I'm good.
But you know what? Regardless of that, you don't need that. But Netflix has an exclusive deal with Disney, which is frankly the only movie studio really killing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, in their sleep.
To get those movies to Netflix as soon as possible out of the theater, which is why they have Captain America: Civil War and Avengers out as soon as possible. Zootopia was out very quickly on Netflix, and then actually I don't know about the Star Wars. I guess the Star Wars movie's not. But everything else, I guess, basically that is Disney goes there very quickly, and so
along with a great back catalog, which is great too.
Yeah, of course.
Because Disney really didn't have that kind of a medium for. I mean, Disney, who has created that kind of thing out of scratch before, it said, "Look, Netflix is the way for us to go." I mean, that's got to tell you something too. They have enough money to create their own medium to be able to get this stuff. I mean, they own a network, for God's sakes. They own ABC. And they still have a partnership with Netflix. So it's a very interesting model, and it's working, and it's great. The question is this model sustainable for the future here? Because let's just talk about some of the numbers we talked about. If they really do have 500 scripted shows in planning at Netflix, at what point do they become the saturation for their own model? I don't know about you, but I'm already pretty overwhelmed because there's almost too many shows to watch.
Well, I will say one thing in particular about Netflix is that their discovery process really sucks. You know, it's very curated and not usually curated well what they even have available.
You're right. Yep.
It's if you go down on say the Netflix app, it'll say things like, because you watched Fuller House, you might want to watch blah 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 blah, and you might find
House of Cards.
You might find exactly
House of Cards that do with Full House. Yeah,
they're both houses.
Yeah, sure.
Full House of Cards, but you know, because you watch that, or hey, new comedies or popular right now, but that's about it. You know, if they had a more robust system to search their incredibly large database of movies and shows, that would be amazing.
They do. They just hide it.
I know.
They do that on purpose.
I know they do, but why?
You'll go and you'll actually search for something, and it'll pull it up, and you'll be like, "Oh, this is here. That's crazy." Like you know, one of the things I love to do, because remember, Netflix used to open their APIs to the world, so you could get Netflix on things like a Roku box before there was an app, or like Kodi. You could have Kodi running Netflix. So it used to be that it would open up their database, and people could actually have a website that monitored in real time what was on Netflix, and you could just search through text, right? Now the best I do is I basically have Google Now Watch, and whenever somebody puts an article up about what's coming and leaving, it tells me. So I'm looking through going, oh, I got to look for that. So then I go and search for it, because if I can't find it, I know it's there. Search for it, add it, ready to go, right? But it's almost like they do that on purpose. This was my point before. I think that's very much a part of the strategy, because what they realize is that there's plenty of content to be consumed that is the stuff that is helping them drive viewership. Mm-hmm. The shows that people are talking about, Making a Murderer, Fuller House, House of Cards, right? People watch these, they get great word of mouth, and they keep it going. If they're looking for like the cartoon version of The Hobbit or something like that, right? Yeah, that's not really probably going to drive a lot of people to subscribe to Netflix. Right. It might be there, but it's not really going to drive people to subscribe. On the other hand, right, they throw a couple of those new movies, a couple of those big titles, a couple of those things that really just stand out. They put those up there so that you have something to kind of catch you when you don't want to watch all that other stuff. And that's what I think has been a crucial shift for them, because it's no longer kind of the B movies. I remember so many years I'd go through Netflix and see movies like Solomon Kane and The Last Night, and just movies that are just awful. I mean, just terrible, terrible movies.
They're still there.
They're still there, but they're because they're so cheap. Right. They're terrible. My point is that content's still there. If you get really desperate, you can still go and find those D-level pieces of crap. And apparently a lot of Swedish movies that are like made in English and are fantasy movies about dragons. Anyway,
I don't even know how you know that.
Totally serious. Like look up. It's like, I mean, it's funny. Anyway, the point is, they kind of hide that stuff. It's almost like they push down. It's still there, but they're throwing things at you to keep you satisfied just for another month.
And you know what? More than any other content producer, they are very good at selecting older properties that a normal network might not take a chance on for various reasons, because there's only so many shows they can make and fit on a primetime TV schedule. Mm-hmm. And they'll I saw someone in the chat talking about Voltron. Who in the world else is going to grab Voltron and start making new versions of that? Or a series of unfortunate events, which I finished recently, which is very good. Yeah. I've never read the books. I saw the movie with Jim Carrey.
The Jim Carrey movie.
You never saw the Jim Carrey movie? Really?
Yeah.
I thought I saw it with you.
I don't think so.
Who was I with? Anyway,
seen it.
the point is that the movie was okay, but the thing is, you can tell, especially because it's like 13 books. It's the kind of thing but the thing is, they squeeze 3 books worth of stuff into a movie.
Yeah.
And it's very much like, if you look back at the history of A Song of Ice and Fire, for a long time there was talk of a Game of Thrones movie being made.
Yes.
Which, frankly, would be terrible. You can't fit a significant amount of that one book into a movie to have it spread across 10 hours of a season. You're still cutting stuff out. So in that form and here, with a series of unfortunate events, you need the longer form where you have like, well, in this case, it was like 2 episodes per book. Because it's a children's book, so that's okay. But anyway, you need something longer than a movie, just one movie.
Yes.
So this is something where Netflix is very good at finding those properties and actually making them decent.
Well, that's the missing element, right? We didn't even talk about that. I mean, none of this works unless the renaissance of television we've been talking about for years is in full swing.
Absolutely,
because people are willing, and let's talk about something else that's very unique to Netflix. So you have the renaissance of TV that's going on, where really high profile, all the creative people that were left in Hollywood that left to go to TV to make really creative stuff, because they want to tell stories like what you just talked about, right? Something you couldn't tell in a film. All right. The other thing they allow is the binge watching concept. They invented that, right? So instead of releasing an episode a week or an episode a month or whatever they were going to do, the show is available immediately. You could stay up all night and watch, 10 hours of House of Cards if you wanted to, and, be ready for the next day to talk about the entire show. I don't know why you do that, but you could, right? They took like the best part of watching a show on DVD. Like I remember the first time I watched Lost, the season was already out on DVD, and it was just like, okay, we got to do another one. Okay, we got to do another one. Right. Netflix has totally jumped on that phenomenon. And nobody else really has that part down yet.
That's
true. One of the reasons that makes them unique.
Yeah, the whole binge watching.
Binge on. Yep.
Makes... Whew. It is funny that no one else, like not HBO, not... Actually,
they're still reliant on traditional media. They're still reliant on traditional media.
Yeah, but not even like... Does Amazon... I don't watch a lot on Amazon Prime Video.
I have absolutely no idea. I think they do, though.
I think they do.
They're not reliant on the network.
They're not wedded to that model, so they're like, yeah. And I think that binging element definitely reels people in.
In fact, I'm pretty sure they do, because they have the Man in the High Castle, which I think...
they have a lot of shows.
Well, I saw a couple commercials for it, and I think I remember seeing on the commercial that the whole season was already available.
Oh, yeah.
That's the reason that stuck out in my mind. But yeah. I think everybody's going to try to do this in one way, shape, or form. And now, for us as a consumer, it's great because these folks are rushing to see who can make the best content possible. In other words, it's no longer about trying to milk the channel packages, which is how they used to make money. How these, big media conglomerates made any kind of money, was to bundle these things together. Now they're racing to see who can make the best art.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Beyond that, I mean, look back 20 years when you would have 25 season episodes, so that they could get to syndicate that 100 episode mark in syndication as fast as possible, which is where the real money came in. And now that's not. I mean, yeah, you still have syndication, but that's not as important anymore. Battlestar Galactica doesn't have to get to 100 episodes to make a crap load of money, and that was at the early edge of all this. They just knew they were going to make it back in DVD sales and all this other stuff. Syndication is a dying format in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
So you don't have to pump out crap to get that number.
I Love Lucy and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe for free, or not for free, but on Netflix, all of the episodes you could ever want to watch, right in one place. Completely curated for you, top to bottom. It's a great idea. It really is. And I think one of the things that we talked about when we were younger, and the syndication model was obviously still in full swing, right, is the the idea of the greatest thing we could think of was having a source that you could just kind of type in what you wanted to see and watch it, and you would pay for the privilege of doing so, right? You and I were just talking about streaming music services, where that is basically the future is now, right? I can go and I can just search for whatever song I want to listen to, bam, it's there. Oh, I want the live version, oh, bam, it's there, right? Oh, I want the cover from blah blah blah, bam, it's there.
Right. So
we're slowly kind of getting to that model within movies, and I think it's inevitable that that's going to happen, right? But that is exciting. That's a great thing from a consumer standpoint, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that, I mean, even if you don't like American Gladiator type reality shows, the fact that Netflix has thought enough to try to make one of those to see if people are still interested in that kind of thing is awesome.
Yes, no, absolutely. And you know what's really funny to me is that this has changed, and I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's changed so fast. I think it was only a little over 5 years ago when Netflix announced that they were going to unbundle their DVD service from their streaming service to make both cheaper.
Right.
And to make it easier to understand, or whatever their purpose was. And the whole Flickster debacle.
Yes.
And they said, hey guys, if you want streaming service, it's going to be on, if I'm remembering this correctly, Flickster is going to be our streaming service, and then Netflix will be just for DVDs. Yep. And their stock tanked immediately to within the point that within a few days they said, you know what, never mind, just kidding.
Yep.
And because everyone's like, the streaming service only, that's going to be garbage. Blah, 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 and now everyone, they wouldn't bat an eye. I forget frequently that Netflix even has a DVD service still.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So it's just...
Not that, I mean,
And again, that was only like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. But I think this is another instance where innovation has left industry behind to a certain extent. And, the industry is kind of catching up now. These are very well-established models of revenue that you and I are talking about that Netflix is kind of crushing. I'll wrap up the conversation like this. I was just telling you before the show, our cable bill went up.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, you know what? If it's going up, and we have no reason why, it's January. So in January, that's when they change all their yearly rates. And I called them. Sports packaging went up. The hardware costs went up. All these different things went up. And I went, what the hell's going on here? So I said, look, I can't do this. I got to figure out what's going on. I got a bunch of price quotes from them about how to change what my, they have. And cable, by the way, is so inflexible. You remember how when you first got cable, there was like 20 different packages, like this package, and then the premium, and the premium pro, and the premium pro plus, and then the gold and the platinum package, like all that stuff. And you had to like sort through the database of what channels were available. All that's gone now. Now it's like you get like basic cable, or you get full on cable with all the premium channels. There's no in betweens.
Yeah, and the price just constantly skyrocketing.
Right. They got good people that are, that are doing their financial analysis. I happen to know one of them. They're good people. Point is, they know their market very well because they know people that really want is kind of in the middle. So they're either going to go this way or they're going to go that way. And I think they realize that most people are kind of going to go that way and spend more money, not less. So I went through a full exercise of a few days of exploring every option, basically, because I don't really have a choice when it comes to what it goes through the ground to my house. Mm-hmm. There's only one way for me to, unless I go to DSL, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but 15, 20 megs seems incredibly slow at this point.
No, it is. I mean, especially if you're
like you and I grew up with 28.8 and 56K.
Well, yeah, but we also weren't streaming HD video.
No,
which is again part of the net. More than anything else, Netflix has increased people's appetite for bandwidth.
Right. So I went through. I looked at every single option that I could possibly look at and try to figure out what to do. And I really saw some promising stuff. Like, for example, with the DirecTV Now model, They're actually beta testing right now with select customers the cloud-based DVR straight from the streaming service.
Yeah.
So for $35 a month, you get everything, including the really expensive channels like ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
You get those channels in a $35 a month bundle. Bill never goes up. It's still the same cost no matter what happens. You want HBO? $5.
That's
You
awesome.
want Cinemax? $5. And in the future, and I think this is going to be very, very close to reality here soon, without an upcharge, you have basically cloud-based DVR. You don't store anything. You store it in the cloud, and you can watch it whenever you want, streaming straight to your TV. Great, great, great idea. If my wife wasn't so tied to a DVR, I might have just made the switch without even calling Comcast. But I did. I called them back because I said, you know what we're going to do is reduce the package, and we'll go in that way, and that'll be that. And after a long, meandering conversation, basically he changed it without even asking me, and they magically lowered my bill $50.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'll keep that.
So
because why not? Right?
So you're tied to it for the time being.
Yeah, if you just said that when I called them, I'd have been like, okay, yeah, that's a perfectly reasonable price for cable.
Right.
I'm good with that.
Right. But it took a lot of effort to get there, and it's getting harder. Because that's why I cut cable like 3 years ago, because I called them like, hey, I'm paying like $100 for television
Yeah.
that I don't need. I can get around it, and it was harder 3 years ago. It's way easier even now. And I was like, what can you do? And the guy's like, not much. And it's like, okay, cancel. It's a lot more inflexible than it used to be.
Absolutely right. Here's the last thing that I think is important. Somebody mentioned this on the chat. This is a pertinent conversation, one that maybe you and I should tackle in a separate episode, because it's politically kind of salient, but it's also topical for today. It's very interesting. But what happens, because Netflix, let's remember, is now a content creator, and they are a medium. What they are not is a service provider.
Right.
You feel me?
Oh, I'm feeling you.
So, all right. Yeah, good. Excellent. I was wondering what that was. So,
did you touch my butt, Dewey?
Did you touch my ass?
That's what it was.
So, they don't lay the actual infrastructure that brings internet access to your home.
Right.
Okay. So what they do is they could even be the potential, the primary bandwidth user that you have at home. Okay. I work a lot with colleges. The number one application that they see on college campuses, Netflix, right?
Sure.
So they have to think long and hard about what they do in terms of prioritizing the traffic for Netflix and making sure that people can watch their movies in their dormitories at night, right? Mm-hmm. Right. It's the same thing for everybody in their individual homes, right? Because service providers want to be able to provide good service to all of their customers. Mm-hmm. If they provide, and I don't want to pick sides here, but let's just talk about it, right? This is the concept of net neutrality.
I was going to say, is this what you're going into?
So the concept is this could absolutely threaten Netflix's model, depending on which way this goes.
You and Techie are basically just spouted the same thing at the same time. Techie in the chat, which is hilarious.
So, there you go. So perfect. So the concept is basically, can a service provider decide how to prioritize your traffic based on bandwidth utilization, the legalities of what you're doing, so on and so forth, what application you're watching, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Or does everything that hit the network of a service provider deserve equal treatment regardless of what it is, and regardless of how it affects your neighbors, right? That's a pivotal question. Again, I'm not going to take sides, but you and I can talk about this some other time.
That's a whole other topic.
But the decision in that the FCC makes, and I think I know the way things are going due to recent nominations, the way that this is going could in fact put a serious damper on Netflix's business model, or it could kill the cable companies. It could do either, depending on which way they go, right? That's, to me, it looks like the only thing other than something like an HBO, or I think of Netflix almost like Nintendo. They invented a new market, and they're really one of the best. They're probably the best at it. So they're incredibly popular. They're almost synonymous with watching movies online. But then these big honking companies that have done different things, and been titans of industry in other places, Microsoft and Sony, in this world, right? HBO, cable, other providers, right? Come along and then try to out Netflix. Other than those two things, I mean, I don't see a lot of threats to Netflix's model because it's so attractive to somebody that just doesn't want to pay their cable bill anymore, right?
All things being equal. Yeah, I got to agree. No, rules changes in the government notwithstanding.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I mean, I think the business is sound.
And in that's theory,
really interesting.
Definitely.
I mean, the reason this topic makes a lot of sense to talk about is because the business is finally sound. They're making money. They're adding subscribers like crazy. They're making a ton of content. People are staying with the service longer than they used to. These are all good things. I think they're going to be around for a long time. And in my book, that's a great thing because I really like Netflix. I really do.
Yes.
I've kept Netflix even though I have cable. So if that tells you anything. All right, folks, that is the topic du jour. Hope you enjoyed our conversation today about Netflix and the way that they bring content to us all, and hopefully what is going to happen in the future with Netflix. Let's move on to portion 3 of the program, which is the question and answer portion of the program. Question and answer. Anybody that has any kind of questions out there that you'd like to ask, please send us your questions. Send me your questions, because after all, I am the arbiter of what happens here and what does not.
You're the arbiter of secession.
I am the arbiter of succession.
Sorry, succession, not secession. That's something different.
Succession. That's, California needs. So, if you have a question about the topic du jour, about the tids and bits, about anything else your little heart desires to ask about, all you have to do, send it or tweet me at It's the Commodore, or if you're following along in chat, send me a private message, Commodore 128. Ready to rock?
Rock!
Okay. If you will recall, during the last program, we had a fan, an Alabama fan, named Alabama Will Beat Clemson. You remember this?
I do now. That wasn't last time though. This is like a month ago.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
They've since changed their handle to sports_Go Falcons. Yeah.
Well, I hope he brings the same amount of luck to this as well.
I wanted you to know that because I wanted you to feel like there was some kind of message.
That's a great name. Sports_Go Falcons.
Except the really funny thing is that they apparently were typing too quickly. So it's actually Go Flackens.
No, not the Flackens.
But I got it. I think I got it. Okay.
It's Linsanity.
I was Alabama beat Clemson. Yep. Alabama will beat Clemson. Yep. I was there at the game. We had our chances. But
nice.
Deshaun Watson, at any rate, I assume you guys still collect games to one degree or another. What's your best and or most recent big-time score in terms of collecting? Can be either good, a good deal, or a crazy find. Oh, and then I'm sorry. They had a follow-up note. I just need you while you think about that. Also, I want to be Go Falcons, though Go Flackens is really fun. That wasn't changed.
You know what's funny is that I don't collect as much as I used to. I kind of really slowed down on that. Even when I go to these conventions now, like I was at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo back in October, which I've gone to, 4 or 5 years in a row now. Mm-hmm. Games all over the place, but I don't pick up a lot. I'm actually more interested in things like the oddities and, and art and things like that people come up with. So like I picked up, oh my God, what is that Super Nintendo? It was like a Super Nintendo modem, X-Band. It was X-Band. So I have one. I picked up one of those in a random pile at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. It's an X-Band modem for the Super Nintendo. That would make a great video. It's just for fun, it's just one of those weird little oddities. One thing I am definitely on the lookout for every time I go to one of these things now, is a what's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's made by ASCII, ASCII.
Oh, that's different. That's different.
That's different, and it's a one-handed Super Nintendo controller.
Oh.
So it's basically like a circular, and you can control it all with one hand. And it was Japan only, of course. And the idea was you're not supposed. It's not for use during dating sim games. It's for playing RPGs, so that you can control the game with one hand while you take notes in the other. Like how Japanese is that? That's awesome.
That is very Japanese.
And what it reminds me of is Earthbound. Yeah, of course, Earthbound could be played with, for the most part, one hand, because the L trigger, and this I thought this is great game design. The L trigger is like the catch-all action button. So like in like most RPGs at the time, you press A and you can open up a menu that's like talk, check, items, whatever. Or if you come up to something and you want to interact with it, whether it's a person or a place or a thing on the ground, you can just hit the L button and it just does it automatically. And it's actually a lot faster. So and you can move around with the control pad, and the select button does stuff as well. It's just like really clever. And so in that same vein, a one-handed Super Nintendo controller is really cool. Our friend Shane Lewis of Re-Res picked one up at Too Many Games, and he was showing it to me. I was like, "You ass! I've been looking for that. Where did you get it?" He's like, "Oh, they don't have any more." I was like, "Oh, great."
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course they don't. Yeah, I actually have been kind of consolidating a little bit, but the last thing, I am more on the nostalgic train. I go and get things that I actually had as a child, more than trying to make a collection of things. One of the things that we did a couple of years ago was I picked up a CDI, and I actually went to go look at some of the games that were made for that system, and it was really funny. I was just browsing YouTube yesterday, because with this Google Music thing, I've got like YouTube Red is out there. YouTube Red is terrible, but
Google Play Music's good.
But the access to you don't have any kind of. With Google Play Music, you get no ads on YouTube. It's great, right? Mm-hmm. So YouTube becomes a lot more tolerable when you have Google Play Music, which is fantastic. So I found it's like somebody made a 14-minute video which has the boot sequences of everything from like an Atari 2600 all the way to the PlayStation 4. Mm-hmm. And when the CDI came up, I was just like, "Oh my God, look at that! That's amazing! I remember this." And then like the Atari Jaguar came up, which I remember from like being in a Sears one time. I saw that, because I never knew anybody with a Jaguar.
A few people did.
Yeah, so it's really it was kind of neat. But that's the kind of stuff I like to get into. Other than what you were talking about, I actually shared a link in the chat, piscolapp.com, which allows you to create your own pixel art.
I saw that today. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a really cool little tool. I'm trying to get into that and create some cool stuff. I love that kind of thing. I still have the you probably can't see it behind me, but I still have the poster from the last marathon with all the pixel art stuff that we had that we were giving away, which I treasure.
Great.
Great artistic work.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is more what I'm like you. I'm kind of more into that than I am even just collecting the games themselves at this point, because those are almost relics that are going to be difficult to reproduce in some ways. But, the artwork is forever. All right, let's see here. So, this name is incredibly familiar to me, and it almost is kind of a blast from the past. So you see if you recognize it from the old Weekly Ringer / forum days at clanofthegraywolf.com. This is Alatar.
Okay.
Asks, I really think Alatar was a contributor, but anyway. So Alatar asks,
doesn't sound that familiar.
Did the Mafia kill JFK?
So that okay. You're subscribed via podcast to Hardcore History, correct?
I'm not, but I need to be.
What? Have you listened to any Hardcore History?
Only the one you like the World War I.
Okay, well that's a good
stuff
one.
You were telling me about, yeah.
Regardless, he has a new one out. I can't remember what it's called, but what it is basically the dawn of the atomic age, and up through the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's a blitz, which in theory is fast, but it's like a 6-hour podcast, which I'm okay with. But one of the things, he spends quite a bit of time on the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he actually talked about how, of the theories concerning why JFK was killed, a lot of it has to do with almost all of them deal with Cuba in some way, because he stared down Khrushchev and made him take the missiles out of Cuba, and averted World War III. So, anyway, I just brought that up because I thought it was funny that I heard something about the JFK assassination today, and then someone's
asking you about it. Okay, so
tangential. So I would say no. I don't think the mafia killed JFK. The Cubans, though? Question mark. No, they didn't. I stick with the original story.
That the mafia didn't kill them and the Cubans did?
Is that the official story?
Yeah, that's the official story.
Okay, that makes sense.
The official story signed by the Warren Commission is that the Cubans did it. Millennial Falcon asks, if you could receive anything via a monthly subscription service, what would it be? Why does my mind go to terrible places when I read that question?
What would you get?
I'm not. I don't.
You're not saying.
I was presuming an answer you were going to give, so I was laughing at that almost.
No, what me? No. I was gonna act. Okay, I'm gonna cheat because I'm going. This is the only box subscription thing that I actually subscribe to.
Great.
No. Okay. Most of these things I kind of consider chintzy stuff that I don't need more crap in the house. I'll put it that way. I'm still in the process of purging.
Oh my gosh, my wife and you need to have a conversation. Go ahead, keep going.
But one of the things I love about traveling to new places is to sample the local food. If I'm traveling to the West Coast, I'm not eating at McDonald's. You know, I'm at the very least eating at a In-N-Out. You know, because I don't have those where I live, or I'm gonna get some Asian food because it's a lot better on the West Coast than it is around here. Blah blah blah. Same token. If I'm in New York City, I'm not gonna get a pulled pork barbecue sandwich because just no. Right. Anyway, the point is that there's this thing called Yum Box, which is every month it's a bunch of snack food from a different country. It's themed every month from a different country. So like we got Ukraine this past month, and it's like really interesting, you know, to see like they had caviar flavored breadstick snacks, you know. It's interesting. So stuff like that.
Okay, I can dig that. That's a good.
And you eat it and you don't have crap left over in the house. So
yeah, I think I'm still waiting for the subscription service. I think we already talked about it. I want to have a service where I can kind of name a show or a song or a movie and just instantly pull it up and watch it, listen to it, what have you, and to be able to do that all via voice control. That's what I want. Okay. So somebody get to work on that. They are working on it. It's just not there yet. Once Google Play can call Netflix and Netflix has everything ever made by human beings, we'll be there. We'll be there.
Give it a year.
Yeah, it won't take long. All right. Let's see. Here we go. This is good. Okay. And I'm going to stick with this. Luscious Tea. If Tom Brady is able to win a 5th Super Bowl, does that make him the all-time best over the likes of Montana, Bradshaw, etc., even though he's lost 2 Super Bowls to Peyton's younger brother?
Even though he lost 2 Super Bowls
to Peyton's younger brother and future Hall of Famer, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, Eli Manning.
I will say,
New York Football Giants.
I will say, losing anything to Eli Manning is damn embarrassing.
Yes.
Twice. In all honesty, sports_Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Go Tom Brady. Tom Brady is
Tom Beardy. Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time right now, and Bill Belichick is
no.
Hold on. I would say arguably the greatest quarterback of all time now, and Bill Belichick is arguably the greatest coach of all time now.
Yes.
If they both win this Super Bowl, no one who honestly and seriously follows the NFL, I think, could argue otherwise.
I think I don't think it's a case either way. I think they're both the best of all time, even if they don't win the Super Bowl. Although,
Like I said, you could make the argument either way, but I obviously would lean toward yes. But
I would say no. I think they already are. He is already the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't think anybody has ever done what he's done. I think Montana had, obviously, Montana was the best postseason quarterback of all time, probably the best Super Bowl quarterback of all time, because Tom Brady has had a couple stinkers, even if it's only been a half that he's played poorly.
I mean, you still have to think, if it wasn't for one important play in those 2 lost Super Bowls, he could be going for his 7th ring. Yeah. How insane is that?
It is insane. I mean, nobody else can make that claim.
Not even close.
Especially when we live in the salary cap era.
Oh my God.
Especially when parity should be easier to come by than it is. I can't make excuses. You know, this is not the NFL of yore. You know, yes, they play in a crappy division that's been crappy for 20 years.
Well, yeah, but
yes, the half of the AFC has been nothing but the Girl Scouts for the better part of 20 years. It doesn't matter. Being able to sustain that kind of success, if it were easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
And they can't.
Bill Belichick, football genius.
Yeah, there you go. You've been saying that since 2002, approximately.
Yes.
Here we go. Pond Life asks, what were some of your favorite shows from your past you'd love to see re-released or remade on Netflix? Answer's pretty easy. All you have to do is search. It landed there this month. Actually, last month.
Space Cases?
He-Man. The universe. The entire series is now on Netflix. Thank you.
That was easy. I thought you would go Space Cases.
Space Cases, you know, I would like to see Space Cases, but here's what I think about Space Cases.
A gritty reboot?
If I watch, no, they should update it. So Jewel Stady should be in it as her current self.
Oh, she's so old now, though.
That's fine. What's wrong with that?
So old.
She's like a fine wine. Even if she's Canadian. A fine Canadian wine? Is there such a thing? Anyway.
They have wine in Canada, in like 3 square miles of it.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's probably really, really good. I'll tell you what, this Canadian beer sucks. So I think Jewel Stady aside, I think the concept of Space Cases would be it would be the rose-colored glasses. You'd watch like an episode and you go, oh my God, this is terrible. Why did I ever watch this?
Yes. That's true. I'm going to go with Quantum Leap.
Yeah, they should. Quantum Leap is getting to that age now where they really should remake
I think that would be prime for a reboot.
I think you're right.
And it's not like Quantum Leap was any sacred cow that, like, Back to the Future should never ever be touched. Quantum Leap was a fun show that was silly, frankly.
Yeah.
But, you know, had a really interesting concept, which has been revisited a few times, basically. Failing that, I would say Journeyman, which was a victim of the writer's strike in 2007.
Wow, look at you.
Did you ever watch that?
No.
It was Quantum Leap-esque, but better, actually, I would say. I think the story was better. It was about this guy who was jumping back in time somewhat randomly to save one particular person every episode. But he would jump back in time and he would jump back to the future and then kind of go back and forth a few times. So it's not like he was lost in time, but he would just disappear for a few hours at a time. And so that was a running thing it only went for like 13 episodes, but it was a running thing over multiple episodes where like people thought he was crazy because he was just disappearing. You know, it's like that's an interesting wrinkle. It was a really good show that unfortunately died. I would like to see that come back too.
I think that concept
I highly recommend it.
Is probably something that someone's thinking about, because I think we've seen the resurgence of fantasy come back, right, with Game of Thrones and you know, all these shows that are kind of around that now. Netflix even has a new show with Jason Momoa called Frontier.
Oh. I was going to say there's a show on Netflix called Travelers, which is okay. That has Eric McCormick.
Yeah. I don't know.
But it's about people coming from the future to the present.
Yeah. But
what was that?
The golden age of sci-fi, or another golden age of sci-fi could be coming. And I think that there's plenty of room to or I don't know,
Really?
remake. I don't know. Is it remake or is it just take a fresh look at something like Quantum Leap, which I think could work really, really well.
Yes.
What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
Okay. Omega Set asks, "Good evening, Commodore." Oh, good evening, Omega Set. What audience do you feel the Nintendo Switch is intended for, i.e. new gamers, old gamers, casual gamers, hardcore gamers, etc.? And do you think that the target audience will embrace it? Thanks. The embrace part, I think we covered last time. I don't think either of us are really sure.
That's true. I'm getting more of a quote unquote hardcore gamer vibe from it. Especially compared to something like the Wii. It's got aspects of it that could appeal to anybody, but I think they're, at least at launch, like they're pushing the Zelda pretty hard because that's frankly all they have. So,
you think this is more Wii than it is 3DS in terms of the intended audience?
I would say both have both. I think the Wii and the 3DS have the same intended audience.
The Wii, which is a home console with a brand new mechanic. Oh, so the 3DS kind of had a brand new mechanic too with 3D. I don't know. I'm not sold. When the Wii U debuted, we said, they're trying to recapture everything they did with the Wii, but they're trying to bring in people that are hardcore gamers.
Right.
Obviously, they failed on both accounts. It's like that old adage, being okay at everything means that you're not really good at anything.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Bingo. I am almost afraid that the Switch is the same. That they almost don't know. They're shooting at almost a moving target here, right?
That probably is the right answer.
It's like we're just concluding everything, and we've got this, which works for, pushing a Zelda game, right? You're going to excite people that had never played Zelda before, but you're going to excite people that have played Zelda for the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. And that's a great thing, I think. But, are you going to, if knowing that the newest, I'm just going to throw a frame, know that the newest Call of Duty is not going to come out for the Switch. It won't. There will have to be something else, right? Some other version, some exclusive that goes specifically to the Switch to make it a AAA title made for adult gamers. I don't have a lot of high hopes for that. Like the Resident Evil 4 concept, right? I don't see that happening anytime soon for those guys. And that will probably really hurt them with the quote-unquote hardcore gamers concept.
I don't think you're wrong. I just think that they're trying a little bit more hardcore this time. I don't know if they'll land, but we'll see.
They say that a lot of stuff is in development, which is a better development.
Well, they said that. They said about Wii U too.
So. Said about Wii U too, but I think a lot of people jump ship just because of the terrible numbers.
Yeah,
it looks like the Switch is going to do okay, at least in its initial shipment, and that's a good sign.
Right.
Kefka Time asks, did Paul McCartney really die in 1966? No, he did not.
All right. Next.
I buried Paul. Oh man, that's a good one. Link 2. This is good. All right, I'm gonna ask the second question from Link 2. Is Rue going to make another The Way Games Work video for the Joy-Cons? I think that could revive the series.
I already have that. I could. Well, what about I don't know.
You should do the Joy-Cons. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
These guys are serving you gold here.
It's more interesting than what we got going on with the other two consoles right now. And the thing is, I already have ideas for Way Games Work videos. That's not the problem. So,
yeah, the problem is definitely not having ideas.
Nah.
So yeah, they're still they're still sort of serving you up gold here. You gotta take advantage of that.
In theory, I've talked about hiring an editor or something because I've just the whole process of video editing, which I which I used to enjoy, got very tedious after a while, and it's hard to get over that hump. But anyway,
especially when I was doing one a week every
I know,
week.
right? Another life.
I know. It just seems like a long time ago.
Once it was.
Last question. Let me just make sure and see if I'm gonna get. Yep. All right. Last question.
All right.
Here we go.
Okay.
The sports _ Go Falcons who changed and fixed the name. Okay. Switch follow up. If you get a Switch, are you more likely to play it walking around or on your TV?
On my TV.
You think so?
I'm not gonna be walking around with it, probably.
That's not what he means.
Well, okay.
Assuming sports _ Go Falcons is a dude.
Well, I can't. Well, man. All right, sexist. You're just assuming a lot.
I just said he. I don't know. Maybe it's not a he.
It depends on a few things. Is there local multiplayer, and is there going to be something as catchy as Pokemon Go on it? Because if so, I could potentially see taking it downtown and interacting with it. Like if there's a Pokemon game for that encouraged going out and interacting with people as much as Pokemon Go did. Well, that wasn't so much interacting with people, but just going out. Then, yeah, maybe. Otherwise, I could only really see taking it on trips. I'm not taking it to work. I don't work in an environment that is conducive to me pulling out a game console and playing it at my desk.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
So I would probably take it on trips. It's tailor made for things like plane rides. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But that's the most use I could see getting for it outside of just playing it at home. Yep. Oh, and on the toilet. Definitely on the toilet.
And that was where I was going. It's like there are some scenarios, you know. I mean, I'm about to have 2 friggin' Rugrats running around, man. I mean, would I really want to be tied down to the TV all the time? Speaking of which, isn't Rugrats on Netflix? There's an interesting concept. Pretty sure Rugrats, or at least Rugrats in Paris, I think, is on Netflix.
Oh, I
don't know if the Rugrats series is on Netflix.
That's much worse.
Yeah. Yeah, but even that's kind of funny, you know, like Nicktoons movies.
Oh man, if there was some Doug on Netflix, I would love to go back and just watch that, see if it's still any good.
See, I just saw this in the chat. Red Mage had my first thought when you talked about Quantum Leap. Mm-hmm. Scott Bakula has not changed an awful lot. I mean, I know he's older. I know he's got a couple more.
He still looks good.
He still looks really good. Why not just have Scott Bakula come back and do Quantum Leap?
Isn't he doing a show?
Yeah. Who cares?
Just cancel it.
Yeah, it's like CSI Louisiana style or something. I don't know.
Louisiana style. I think you're thinking of like Popeye's chicken, Louisiana style.
CSI. That's how bad CSI's got. CSI Louisiana style.
It's all 10 years into spaces. It's kicking.
Right. CSI Miami, CSI New York, CSI Louisiana style, CSI extra tasty crispy.
Ooh, that's my favorite.
It is. It's good. It's delicious. I remember I had my mom try to go order that one time at KFC, and the person looked at her like she had 3 heads.
What? Extra crispy?
Because it was in the commercial, like extra tasty crispy was a finish on the chicken. So it's like, make sure to get the extra tasty crispy. So she went to go order that, and she's like, extra tasty crispy, and they looked at her like she was crazy.
The things we put our parents through.
I know. I thought about that, and I just went, someday I'm going to get that back. You know, like my child's going to ask me for something ridiculous, and it's going to be terrible. There you go. CSI Louisiana Fast.
There we go.
Yeah, perfect. All right, folks. So I think we can wrap things up there.
Thank God.
Scott Bakula with a Louisiana accent. Thank you for joining us here again. Reminders, folks, we are a bi-weekly program, and we have done 2 shows in a row bi-weekly. So there.
We've done more than that. We've been doing pretty well.
I'm just telling you, for people that doubted us.
See,
we're back.
Now I have in my mind, like, Scott Bakula jumps into some guy.
A Twitter handle for fake Quantum Leap episode.
Yeah,
premises.
He jumps in New Orleans, and it's just New Orleans every single episode. Someone different in New Orleans.
I like this idea that Quantum Leap starts right as CSI Louisiana style goes off the air.
Yes,
and what you actually find out is that Scott is that all of that was a quantum leap timeline. So he was solving a single problem over 8 years.
That would be awesome.
How awesome would that be?
But and then what I was laughing at was like Al comes back and he's got like this Cajun accent. He's like, "She gonna die, Sam. I guarantee."
I guarantee. Oh man, there's all kind of shrimp.
Forrest Gump now. He wasn't from Louisiana. He was from Greenbow, Alabama.
What's the difference?
Oh, that's racist.
Okay. Scott Bakula jumps into President Trump. This is why we're going to do this. Somebody's got to create the Twitter handle of now making fake Quantum Leap stories.
Like the TNG season 8 Twitter, which I don't think is active anymore. But
no, the fake Seinfeld episodes one isn't either.
Sad face.
I think they tweeted like 2 years ago, and that was the last time.
How much longer until Twitter goes out of business? We'll see.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's why, right? I mean, it was very novel for a while to have that kind of stuff going on. It's not there anymore.
It's like Vine.
All right. Well, hey, folks, the Expanse starts tonight, so I need to get back to watching that so I can give you a preview of how that looks for the first 2 episodes next time. We are a bi-weekly show. When is the next time these folks can take us in on their eyes and ears?
Take us in. Take it all in.
Take it all in.
In theory,
it's stereo.
It will be Wednesday, February 15th, which would be a like a Valentine's Day episode. We should do something with love.
Aha!
Love robots.
So there you go. So come up with some, not love robots. Come up with your love-themed episodes and tweet us this week. Or next week, whatever, if you're lazy. We don't judge. Tweet us your ideas about love-based shows that we should do for next week. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just make that your own little assignment. Go and figure it out. Okay, folks. Well, thank you for joining us for the Echo Screen Live. This has been another very wonderful and very entertaining hour and a half for us. Hope it has been the same way for you, covering our old friends at Netflix and answering questions and coming up with more ridiculous stuff to talk about. Yes, you'll see us back here in 2 weeks. Until then, for Rue, I am the Commodore from the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and there is no reset button.
I guarantee. Okay, so here's the pitch. Sam leaps into an alligator in the bayou. All right.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it yet.
And then he comes up, and it's the bad guy from the Rescuers. No, not the Rescuers Down Under. The original Rescuers from like 1978. All right.
Yeah, I think I remember.
And the little girls there. Yeah, the little girls, and he has to rescue the little girl. And then Sam comes back and says, "Oh, Sam, I guarantee you got to get that little girl." And he's like, "Oh, okay, Al, cheese." And then he goes over. And he's like, "Oh boy, I'm a crocodile or an alligator or whatever is indigenous to North America." And then he goes to try to save the girl. And then the 2 little mice come up with like Bianca, Miss Bianca, and Bob Newhart.
Oh, you remember their names? Oh no, but Bob Newhart. Okay, great.
Yeah, and then and they're like, "We're here to rescue her," and then Scott Bakula eats them because he's an alligator and he can't help it. And then he fails and he leaps out.
I like it. I'll take it under one condition. Is Bob Newhart still alive?
He was ever alive?
Oh, I'll take it.
What a twist!